There's something about London that always changes and always kind of, there's a very sort of amnesiac quality to London, that it gets rid of its past and little bits of it sort of poke through, kind of thing, like sort of archaeological layers poke through. The Olympics, I guess, is the latest sort of coat of paint, if you like, and I think it's a constant throughout London's history that happens.
The edge and extent of the old East End is marked by a grey...
The art is promoting the history. Well, that's the way I feel and see it anyway.
The Fun Palace was never built on the banks of the River Lee. She almost cracked it. She kicked the bucket. She changed the world.
When you have something as big and as new and as ambitious and as changeable and as long-lasting as the Olympic site, then it's important for that to symbolise more than itself. You know, that this is not just about the games that are happening in the summer. It's also about everything that's happened in the past, in the bedrock of Stratford. This is a new project in a history of projects that have happened in Stratford, and I think it's brilliant that the Olympic Committee have been dedicated to celebrating everything that was in the soil before they got there.
Being so close to the site and knowing the landscape, in my head was this idea that someone might come as an audience and not know what this landscape is, and knowing that the landscape's been completely changed by human hand. So apparently there's nothing on that site that hasn't been bulldozed or moved over time, previous to the Olympics and during the Olympics.
And then once I'm into that, it can do all sorts of other stuff. So it could do variable buoyancy. The meaning of the Olympics is sufficiently non-specific to allow a kind of abstract sculpture to stand alongside the range of meanings that the Olympics has.
Well, this is really interesting, having artists talking about the work. I think is, for me, key, because it puts it in context. I mean, Keith's pieces I'd heard of and seen in pictures, and I thought they were great, but hearing him talk about it takes it to a whole nother level.
I think it's important to kind of recognise and record all the kind of interesting and diverse parts of London which were in this location, which had to move for the Olympics to take place. And I think that there's such a kind of change happening in this part of London that it's really recording a moment in time, giving people a voice, that they're actually recorded, talking about places that they know, which may change even more in the future.
Films relating to the local area where we've been.
The floating cinema was really a lovely way of connecting the inside and out, because the waterways run through the park basically and connect inside to outside, and they're like these sort of arteries that run through the space.
I think it's great because we always talk about legacy and everything. It starts, the legacy started before the game, because of this kind of possibilities to make people involved in their city, and art is a great example of how we can share the space. And so it's nice that they show before the Olympic Games what have been done already inside the Olympic site.
It sounds fantastic, and I now want to kind of know more about it. I'm intrigued as to how it's going to kind of continue its legacy into the future, because I think things like the art in the park are going to be a massive part of continuing, I guess, people visiting the area and engaging with the area.
I didn't realise there were so many sort of arts projects and things around here. I thought it was just developers building new flats, probably, and then some old factories that will become new flats. So I think that's quite nice that there's this broad spectrum of development, not just more homes, really, I guess.
The way that London in particular has tied the sporting Olympics into a wider cultural Olympiad, I just feel in that way that the Olympics is beginning to ignite people to think about their physical potential. Ordinary people begin to think about what it might be to hone their skill to be really excellent at something. I think if it wakes up other parts of being, and encourages, you know, a wider group of people to come to think about their creative life, all the better.